98 Not Out, sponsored by Shepherd Neame, proud supporters of cricket in Essex.
Hi, this is Joti Birdi, and joining me today is West Indies legend Sir Clive. Welcome to 98 Not Out, Mr. Super Cat. You've won 3 amazing World Cups in 1975 and 79, and you've reached the final in 83. My apologies.
Yeah. No problem.
Congratulations on the win last week. How did you feel?
Well, it was quite ecstatic because, I wrote a piece in the Daily Mail a week before telling him that this is going to change, to be a changing of the guard, and the guys will put up a very good fight.
Yeah.
And there wouldn't be a pushover. And I use the phrase that they're going from PM to AM, a dawn of a new era, and they've lived up to it. I think the problem that they had in the past was their batting, so that clicked a bit this time, and the bowlers have done a marvelous job. I must say.
They have indeed. Have indeed. That was actually going to be my next question. Like, what did you enjoy the most, and where do you think the improvements lie? Because you've mentioned batting. They've improved their batting, like the batting by Jermaine Blackwood. His patience has been phenomenal in the second innings.
Yeah. What I liked about is their approach. They batted with a plum, and they wanted to. It's obvious that they wanted to win this game. They bowled the side out for 200, and anytime you bowl the side out for 200, you're looking to get to 400 to bat them out of the game. And they nearly did that. They were about 40, 50 runs short because they a couple of shots that weren't the best. But the guys buckled down. They showed that professional spirit that was needed for Test cricket. They didn't play any airy-fairy 20 shots. They really batted very well, and I was so glad that they came out on top. They deserved to win.
Yeah, they definitely were the better sides in both innings. They batted and bowled beautifully, definitely, and you can really see the improvements that have been made by certain players. I'm going to talk about Shane Dowrich later, but he's one player that really has worked and strived hard to improve since the 2017 series to make sure he was better and sharper. Even behind the stumps, encouraging the bowlers, encouraging the catchers in the slips. You could hear him quite audible on Sky. There's been a lot of talk recently about a debt that is owed to the West Indies. Now, without this turning into a political interview, but not forgetting the Black Lives Movement either, how can we ensure more equality on the playing field?
Well, the point about it is that, if you look at the situation, it is starting with even with the ICC. You have three countries getting 180 million, and the rest 80. I think there should be an equal share, and I think the West Indies should be treated, should get a special dispensation in the sense that we have 14 islands. We're not one country, and we have to fly everywhere. And I thought that to me is a situation where when we were champions for 17 years, we didn't get any more money than anybody else, We got the same cut from there. And the point is, you look at football. Does United get more than City or Liverpool or Chelsea from the pot?
No.
They get the same amount of money. And I think that's how it should be done. What you could do is have that tier like you do in tennis. If you're the number 1 player, you get X. Number 2, you get X. Number 3, you get X. You get extra for getting there. But you all start out at a certain amount.
At an equal footing, basically.
Yeah. And I think that is where the anomaly is that we have to fly everywhere. We can't go by coach. Like, you come in England, they give you a coach, and you travel all the way around. It doesn't cost them a lot. But we have to fly from island to island. From Guyana to Jamaica is 5 hours or more. They're long flights, and as you know, it's very expensive. The hotels that we stay in, because we have to give these guys 5-star hotels. And it's the high season. So, we'll have to pay the same amount of money that the punter that comes every year for a holiday. So those are all the problems that we have, and I think that we need to, as I said, a special dispensation.
A special dispensation, you say, but also, do you feel that the West Indies have in some way been forgotten or ignored with the lack of sponsorship deals? That certain players, if you look at Virat Kohli, the sponsorship deals that he has, and others, one of my questions was going to be, Jason Holder is considered in social media quite recently the most underrated captain. Now, how many sponsorship deals has he actually been offered? What about Shea Hope? What about Jamaica? These players, Shannon Gabriel, all of these players that, they're climbing, they're getting into the ICC table rankings. Jason's number 1 and number 2, number 1 all-rounder, number 2, yesterday they showed in the bowling for test figures.
You see, our problem is that we don't have enough sports writers, recognizable sports writers, to write about these things. You're doing it, really, when we should have people in the West Indies writing about it, bring it to the fore. We have to, we can't just depend on Michael Holding to do all the stuff. We all have to do our part. When we were playing, this is not the first time, when we were champions, when we got to Australia, Dennis Lilly and Tony Gregg, they got all the big contracts. Good?
Yeah.
And then we had to employ someone from England as our agent, and who got a lot of things for us. So that is why when we played in Australia, when the money was like 130,000 when India and these guys came, when we came it was 60. Because they knew that we were going to win. So the prize money was reduced. Good. The only thing we got was the car, and even then we got messed up with that at one stage, where the guy from Western Australia won it, when myself and Michael Holding, he got the most wickets, I got the most runs, and they gave it to him, and they were on the losing side. It's like the man of the match. The man of the match must go to the winning team unless the losing team, the guy did something spectacular.
So, do you feel like there's still this kind of, I don't know how to put this, discrimination or this kind of covered bias towards the West Indies?
Well, I feel that, you see, when people, we now, that is what the players now have to take on board. They have to start winning, and winning often, not now.
Consistently.
Then, you got to continue. We were champions for 17 years.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Dujan never played on a losing side yet. So the point is that we have to, the players now have to produce that. They have to go out there, win handsomely, and win often. And then you can say, well, hey, because if you have players who are averaging 25, nobody's going to be, looking at that. They want to see you in the high 40s, and that you are getting runs often, and you're bowling as well as Shannon Gabriel did. We got to go out there and show people that we have the mettle, that we're strong enough.
Yeah.
Then we can demand things. But if you're only winning now and you don't win again for another 2 tours, no. People want consistency. If I have a firm and I need somebody to sort of project my form, I want a successful person or team, right?
Yeah.
So the ball is in their court. We now have some of the best young bowlers around. We now have some of the best young batsmen around. It's up to the West Indies now to go out there and try and get, and show people what they're made of.
Ensure that they remain test players as well,
yes,
and
yes.
not get lured away through, like I said, the sponsorship deals or the prize money from the IPL. That's something that I wanted to discuss with regards to. There's been a lot of discipline that's been instilled into this team, and I've watched them grow since 2015. You chose Jason as a captain. He was a very young captain at the time, but is a brilliant one that he's grown into. For someone like him and the team, what do you think, what else needs to happen to ensure that they do remain Test players?
They've got to start. Winning is a habit. They have to go out there, and once you start winning, you see, the point is, you go out there with this, not with this losing tag. You want to go out there to compete. It doesn't matter who you have. You have all the firepower you can think of. We have some of the fastest bowlers in the world, and we have quite a few in the ring. We have some terrific young batsmen. They now should want to join this team, good, and make it a better team. And I think Jason is the right person. When I chose him as captain, people were saying he was too young and he didn't have the experience. But I said to my other selectors, that at 23, if he can be successful, we wouldn't have to worry about any captain.
Yeah. I mean, he's very, very, very mature for somebody who is...
Yes.
He's not even 30 yet.
Young man. When I spoke to him first, because he asked to speak to me when we had the academy, and we spoke for about an hour, and we asked one another questions, and then I said to myself, this is the guy that we need to lead. And I was right.
Definitely. You definitely made a very, very good choice there.
Well, I'm glad that I did, because this guy, I think he could be greater than all of us.
Well,
he's intelligent enough. He's young, and he started very early. He's got a far way to go.
Definitely.
And I'd be very disappointed if our cricket under him doesn't sort of, not in the ascendancy for years to come.
Yeah. I mean, the fearsome four, the fearsome foursome I've called them, of Shannon Gabriel, Holder, Roach and Joseph, have been compared to the iconic bowlers of Andy Roberts, Michael Holding, Colin Croft and Joel Garner. Do you think that that's a fair comparison? Or,
no, you can't compare those guys. Those guys have done so well. You'll have to do that in the next 5 or 6 years.
Right.
Now they have the potential, but they have to be consistent. They have to be as menacing as those guys. And I think it's difficult to just say that they look as good as those guys in the past. But the point is only a performance will be able to tell you, how good you are.
A consistent performance. Because
over a period, too.
Definitely. Because I thought, is it right to make a comparison, or do you think it's right to allow the players to grow into their own brilliance?
Yes, I think they should be able to create their own niche. I think what we did should be a beacon, and they should want to do much better than we did.
You put the stepping stones down, laid the foundations.
Yeah, that's it. I told them that what I did was I took the baton and ran with it. So Frank Warren started something, Gary Sobers, and so on. So all we were trying to do is carry on the tradition.
Now, with the ICC rankings, and as I mentioned, Jason is number 1 as the Test all-rounder, whilst Ben Stokes was number 2. Jason's now risen to 2nd in the bowling table as well. What did you make of his captaincy and Stokes's in the first Test match? And I don't want to say comparison again, but do you think it will be different with Root, who will be returning for the second Test?
Well, Root, don't forget, Root has been a captain for quite a while, and he would not sort of he would be a guy that would sort of he has a little finer points about captaincy, no doubt about that. And it's obvious that it would be a pretty good contest. But don't forget, Jason won in the West Indies when Joe Root was captain.
Yeah, they won 2-1. It's unfortunate they didn't win 3-0, and Jason had to miss out the last match.
It's obvious that whatever they do now, it's not going to be easy. And life was not meant to be easy anyway. So the point is that you always judge by the obstacles you overcome. And they'll have some of those. They came through some of those in the last Test. it was a good test of their character. And I'm positive that if they play in the same manner, I am sure, because this pitch would be a little quicker. You know, there'd be a bit of moisture and rain about because it's Lancashire. So, you know.
Definitely. Leading up to my penultimate question, the impact of no crowd, do you think that this helped or hindered either side?
Well, I think it can help because you don't have to worry about people shouting, you know, and that sort of thing. That you can go out there and just concentrate on your game. So that was excellent for the
focus.
Both sides of it.
And as a final question, Sir Clive, what would be your musical request? Now, this is something that we ask all of our guests on 98 Not Out. What would be your musical request? I'm guessing something jazz-wise?
Me? You have to have that Bob Marley song, man, because what is it called again? I'm trying to remember. Getting us all together. What's it called again?
Oh, it's gone out of my head.
Yes, it's gone out of my head. One Love.
There we go.
One Love by Bob Marley.
Brilliant. Well, we will be making sure to play that to close us out this evening. And thank you so much for talking to us. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and thank you again for your time.
Yeah, no problem, my dear. It has been a pleasure, and I hope to speak to you again
Definitely.
sometime soon.